response to one of the questions, you can watch it again. We'll also document all of the questions that are coming in so that if for some reason our session goes quicker than we expect and we don't get to all the questions, we'll make sure to follow up with you and respond later. So besides our fantastic panel members that we have today, we also have Dylan West, Assistant Director of Advising a First Year Experience, who many of you know because he's been emailing with you, getting you set up for your classes. And then we also have Amanda Pyers, Manager of Program Initiatives, Outreach, and Student Engagement. So both of them are here to support this session, and they'll be the ones, along with Fernando Martinez, who are gonna organize all the questions behind the scenes and help facilitate the Q&A. All right, so we should move on to introductions. So we'll start with the students. So all the students here, let's check it out. So I do want to say, if you're not speaking as a panel member at the moment, it's helpful to turn off your camera so that all the participants know who to look at. So we'll start with Molly. Can you first, can you please introduce yourself, tell us your year, major, and share some of your leadership roles that you hold either in environmental design or on campus, and what your favorite part is about ENVD.
Yeah, hey guys, my name is Molly. Legal name is Marie, which is why that's popping up. But I'm a part of the Emerging Leaders program here on campus. I'm actually the student coordinator for it, and I've had a blast seeing you guys all today, and I'm so excited for what's going to happen next. We do have a meeting on Wednesday at 5:15 if you guys want to tune in for that and learn more about ELP and what we're doing for you, I guess. I'm also a part of our ePod club, and I've worked a little bit with the Roll project, which Sebastian is also a part of, which is pretty cool. With that, I guess my favorite part about ENVD, is that what you said? I really like the community and the people, including the faculty and all the staff. It's an amazing group of people who have so much creativity and are so excited to help you engage more with the design and the world in general, which is really, really cool.
Thanks, Molly.
Yeah. All right.
Victor, can you go next?
Yeah, sure. So hello, everybody. My name is Victor Gonzalez. I'm also currently a senior. I'm emphasizing architecture. I am currently the executive chair for Designers Without Boundaries, and I'm also the vice president for the American Institute of Architecture students here at CU. Favorite part about ENVD is definitely the support system and the community that you build within ENVD. It's been always there ever since from the start, and even now as a senior, I'm really happy to say that it's always continued throughout all my years throughout ENVD.
Thank you, Victor. Let's see, do we have Sebastian?
Hey guys, I'm Sebastian. I'm a senior at ENVD studying urban planning and design. I'm also the vice president of environmental science student government and the president of the Rural project. There's a lot of things to love about ENVD, but my favorite one is easily how flexible and unique the program is. I've met lots of students from across the country, and there's nothing quite like ENVD. It's through 4 years of your education at CU, you'll be able to take classes and really explore different interests within the design field, which is really unique to a design school, I think. And I love how flexible you can get like lots of different niches within design and really find your passion within the field, which is amazing.
Thank you, Sebastian. Okay, we're gonna move on to faculty introductions. And after we do faculty introductions, you'll also get to hear from Paul Chanowski, our director, and then we'll jump into some questions. So first up for faculty, Jade Palizi, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thanks. I met a lot of you today. My name is Jade Palizi, and I'm a senior instructor at ENVD, and I'm also a licensed architect. I've actually been teaching at the program since 2002, and I'm an alumni from the program as well. And I'm gonna, besides the things that Molly and Victor and Sebastian said about ENVD, I'm probably the only one that's gonna say this, but I actually really love our building. So it's in a great location on campus, and it's old enough that it's kind of cool, and it's not too new so that we can't actually do exciting things to it, like paint it or put partitions up. So that's one of my favorite things, but really community is definitely my favorite. And I'm coordinating the Tech 1 class. So if you didn't get a chance to pick up a bag that looks like this, that's filled with blocks, make sure you do that in the front office sometime this week.
Thank you, Jade. Danielle, would you like to introduce yourself? And I did want to make sure, yeah, introduce the class you'll be teaching this semester too.
Cool. All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Danielle Bila, and I teach primarily landscape architecture, urban planning, and urban design studios within Envd. I also teach some design builds. I will be with you for 1004, so I will have all of you guys for your intro course. And I am also the faculty advisor for the B Club here at CU, who just won the Student Organization of the Year and the ACT Award this past school year. So I'm super excited to be working with them. Our meetings are usually on Wednesdays, but we'll figure it out this year. So if you ever want to join, just let me know. And why Envd for me is we're going to have to design our way to a better future, and we can't get there without safe, healthy, and thriving environments. And I specifically chose CU Boulder Envd because as a collective, we work towards environmental justice for all. And we work with a variety of different communities to actually make a better future for all project constituents, from humans down to insects and plants alike.
Thank you so much, Danielle. And Melissa, you're up.
Hey everyone, my name is Melissa Feldermann. I am an instructor in the EPOD major, that's Environmental Products of Design. I am a product designer myself, and the thing I really love about design, particularly products, is that you can make something out of absolutely nothing, and hopefully in the end you make someone's life better, easier, more manageable through the work you've done. So I think that's just a really exciting thing about design. I'll be teaching, coordinating and teaching ENVD 1010, which is your first Studio 1, and an introduction into EPOD. So I'll be seeing each and every one of you on Monday, and I'm really excited.
Thank you so much, Melissa. All right, now before we jump into questions, I'm going to hand it over to our director, Dr. Chanowski, to say hello to everyone.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. It was great seeing a lot of you this morning, and it's actually great to have an opportunity just to formally say welcome. Normally this is an all-day affair, but we're doing it in a short format. So I'm just going to take a couple of minutes just to really say welcome. You've heard everyone's excited. It's beginning of fall semester is always not only an exciting time, it's an energizing time. It's a time when the faculty and staff have spent all summer preparing for this, and we get to meet a whole new group of people. And you come from all over the country, all over the world, and everyone brings different experiences to the first class. And although we plan really what we want to teach, it is a combination of what you bring and what we bring. It is that combination that makes it unique each year, that makes it different, that makes it exciting. Now, this fall obviously is going to be a little different. All right, we all know that. We're all sitting here on Zoom in front of our cameras, but this is temporary, right? It hopefully by next semester we'll be back where we are. But right now, honestly, we're taking things week by week. Your instructors are going to update things. We're all playing it a little bit by ear, but no, it's temporary. This is not going to define, this is not your ENVD experience for the next 4 years. So I really want you to focus on what this entire experience is. Also, it's really important to know that everything that you're going to do this semester is same projects as you would have been doing normally. There's no change in what we're doing. Everyone's bringing the same energy, the same excitement, the same projects. It's the same learning experience. We're just going to do it a little differently. It's going to be a little bit of combination. So flexibility is a big word. One week you might be doing a sketching exercise. You might be doing work like this. We're taking it to what's safe for everyone. Now I always try and come up with what's something we can all work together around for the year. And obviously this has to be unprecedented, although I hate using that word because everyone uses that word right now, in terms of the number of things that are happening at one time. We have climate change, we have social justice, we have the pandemic, we have budget, we have elections, we have any one of those things could be a theme that we're focusing around. And what I have really thought about, and I spent sort of this week really thinking about what is it that it is. It's compassion that we need to have with each other. It's tolerance for different ideas. But I think really the theme this year to me is commitment. It is whatever you stand for, whatever you're here to design for. And design is really about changing the world. Everything you do has an impact. Commit. This is your opportunity. Whether you're passionate about climate change, whether you're passionate about environmental justice, social justice, whatever it is, this is your opportunity to commit, to make a difference. Take these skills and education that you're going to learn and go back out there and make a difference. There's never been a generation or a time that has had so much opportunity to make a difference. Use your passion and force us to question what we're thinking of. We're going to force you to question your beliefs. But this is the opportunity to really make a difference, to commit. And that's what I want you to really think about. How are you going to use your ENVD education to make a difference? What is it that's important to you? What is it that you want to commit to? There's a lot of fun in what we do, but in the end, it's about making a difference. So I want you to think about that, but enjoy the experience. We're all here to support you, and we're excited that you're part of the Design Buff family. So welcome, and let's get to questions.
Thank you, Paul. Really appreciate those words. I'm going to jump into some questions that our students and faculty and staff helped us create ahead of time that we know might be at the forefront of your mind already. So especially during this time, I would like this to have some of the students maybe respond to this question. What are some ways that incoming students, whether you're a freshman or transfer student, what are ways they can connect to their peers in the program? So if you'd like to answer the question, if you could turn your video on and I'll call on one of you. Sebastian, great.
All right, so we're very fortunate within Envd to have such fantastic student organizations. I highly encourage you guys to get involved as soon as possible. I feel like the biggest regret you'll hear from maybe people in their upperclassmen years is that they didn't get involved with our student organizations early on in the program. So I think a great way to meet different people within the program is through our student groups. And there's tons to choose from. If you want to choose one that's closer to your specialization, each specialization has like one program dedicated to it, but there's also different student organizations like EDSG, the Rule Project, and DWB that also draw from all the specializations in the program. So I highly encourage everyone to get involved with their student groups if you want to meet people right away and meet some really people from all 4 grades or all students in the program.
Thank you, Sebastian. And it's a really good point. All of our student organizations and groups are fully functioning and meeting all year long. And the events may be virtual, but those groups are still doing really great activities, including going out and doing site visits and doing community events. So be sure to connect with each of the student groups if you're interested. Are there any other students that would like to chime in there? Victor?
Yes, so adding on to what Sebastian previously mentioned, I would just say this is your education, so this is what you make out of it. And just being involved with student organizations just overall like adds to the richness of it. And these student organizations, I feel like they're a lot more accessible now that we're online in a way. They meet up pretty often, and most recently on the Instagram takeover, it showcased how you could possibly get involved. And I feel like now with the virtual setting, there is a lot more options on how to get involved in that way. So just being more consistent and asking questions on how to get involved, I feel like it takes that first initiative to really pull from the student organizations to pull you in and actually get you started on something. So I would just mention that all of these student groups are open and inviting you.
Thank you, Victor. I'm not sure if your internet connection cut out, but I also would like to give Molly a chance to respond. And Molly, if you could also touch on if you have more information about how students can join those student groups, what is the first step to connecting?
Yeah, so I think the first step to connecting is just reaching out to all of us. I mean, I'm happy to get emails and send you to the person who is coordinating that. I know if you go onto the Envd website, you can find a lot of their emails, and just send them an email and they'll add you to their email list or tell you when their next meeting is. Also on Canvas, there will be a calendar and you can see when their first event is, and a Zoom link will be attached, or some way to get in contact with them will be attached, and you can just go and get involved that way. Everyone at the clubs is happy to meet new people. Don't be afraid of it. It's one of the hardest things to do, but once you do it, you'll realize that we're all here to we're excited to hear where you're from and what you're into and what your favorite font type is or something. I've definitely had some great conversations with people I've never met before, just because we all love design and what it means to be a designer, which is pretty cool. With that, also the Emerging Leaders program, we will be able to connect you to those clubs as well. A lot of our members are a part of all of the ones we've mentioned so far, which is pretty cool.
Great, thank you so much. And another way besides the website is we'll be sending out a regular newsletter that you'll get pretty frequently that will also have all the upcoming events listed and also contact information for the different groups so you can get in touch with them directly. On our social media, Instagram and Facebook, a lot of the events are also posted there. Okay, let's go to a question for the faculty. So for faculty, could someone please give just kind of an overview of some of the projects first year students will be doing during the fall semester? Melissa?
Yeah, I'm actually really excited about our projects for our first studio. To introduce you guys to just the general thought process for product design, we're going to start with observing and analyzing products that exist, and then from there we're going to take all of our observations and we're going to synthesize them and then improve upon products that already exist. So we're kind of just taking things that are already out there that already help people's lives and making them even better. But for our final project, I'm really stoked on this. We're taking inspiration from the real world, and you can see how you're going to react to movements that are happening around you. And we're going to make products inspired by the current moment, by the pandemic. So we have a set of user groups and a set of spaces where they spend time and their challenges, and you'll be able to design something for those people to help them navigate the world and pandemic safely and confidently. So for all of those projects, we'll be going through design thinking, or the human-centered design process, which is really, really exciting and fun. And I can't wait to go through it with you guys.
Thank you, Melissa. Yeah, Jade.
Great. For Tech 1, we're going to be doing a lot of sketching. We'll also be learning how to draft and do some model making as well. So lots of hands-on exercises in our class.
Thank you. And Danielle, do you want to talk about 1004?
Yeah, definitely. So I have the class split up for you guys into kind of 4 different segments. We're going to learn about some big ideas, big picture thinking, systems versus site sustainability, if that's really the right word that we should be using. And then we go into the environment in one section and design in the next one. And we look at the problems and opportunities within both. So then we can combine them into environmental design at the end and really focus on what you guys want to do as environmental designers. So we have different types and formats of writing, but the focus of all of the assignments is for you personally to discover and continue to discover your why. Why do you want to be an environmental designer? What difference do you personally want to make? What change do you want to see in the world? And I encourage all of you to keep thinking big, because at the end of the day, the only no that you'll ever hear that matters is the one that you tell yourself.
Great, thank you, Danielle. While we're still talking about the classes and projects you'll be doing, I think it's really important to think about preparing for the first day. So faculty have been sending out emails to their class rosters, giving students an idea of what they can expect for the first week. And one of those aspects has to do with supplies that you'll need for your first week or first day of classes. So I'm wondering if one of the faculty members could just talk a little bit about what's needed the first day and the first week of classes in terms of supplies. Melissa.
Great. So everyone on Monday should come to studio with a sketchbook and some writing utensils, pens, pencils. We're going to be doing a icebreaker design exercise that you'll need that for. Week 1, not day 1, you'll need, again, sketchbook. We'll be doing a lot of sketching week 1, but also 18 by 24 piece of vellum. We'll have an assignment due on that by Monday. So if you want to go out and get a few sheets of that now, we'll be using that regularly throughout the semester. So that's really it for the beginning of class.
Great. And Jade.
Yeah, so for Tech 1, same as Melissa, bring a sketchbook, bring some pencils. You'll be in Zoom, so just have those handy. I'm going to go through and do a demo that's going to be recorded. That'll show you all of your materials you'll need, and those will be a lot of the same materials that you'll actually need in Melissa's class and in Betsy's future studio as well.
Thank you. And Danielle?
And for me, you need nothing except for your internet and computer and a place to take notes, and whether you want to type them up or write them down. I like to write my notes down though because of muscle memory. The more times that you write them, the easier it is for you to remember it. But otherwise, just bring your smiling faces on Tuesday.
Sounds good. Now, when you're thinking about where to get these supplies, I'm going to have the students chime in here, because you do get a full list of your core supplies that you'll need for your classes, but you do need to anticipate purchasing more supplies throughout the semester when more projects come along. So just be sure to budget for that, these are the core supplies you'll need, and that later in the semester anticipate needing to search and buy a few more supplies that might be needed for a specific project. So I'm wondering if students could give some recommendations about where to purchase these supplies, especially for the students who may not have a car or need something local in Boulder. Molly?
Yeah, hey, I guess if you're in Boulder, Gyrie's and McGuckin's, I like McGuckin's just because the people in there are very friendly and happy to help you with any project you have. But there's also Michael's, which you can find a lot of coupons for, which is pretty cool. That's farther away though. I think you can walk to Gyrie's and McGuckin's from campus. It's not too far. Yeah.
Thank you. Sebastian?
Also, both those stores you can access by public transit, which you get free with your buff card. So make sure you can go to the C4C and get your transit card or your RTD pass if you haven't got that already. But make sure you work with your city professor to see exactly what you need for class. When I was a freshman, I thought I needed a lot more than I always did and overbought materials and ended up not using them. So try to save when you can.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, let's see. For students, I have another question for you. I'm just gonna go ahead and throw this one out here because I think it's good as you've grown through the program, reflecting back on your first time in ENVD and orientation and first days of classes. I wonder if each of you could give some advice about what you wish you had known as a first year student. I know some of you have touched on that about getting involved earlier, but if you could share if there's any other tips for our incoming students. Sebastian.
Perhaps it's a bit cliche, but it's definitely okay to not know exactly where your fit is in the program. When I started as an ENVD student, I thought I was an architecture major, and through evolution of design studios and talking to different professors, I learned I definitely belonged in the planning realm. And it definitely takes numerous studios and working with different student organizations to really find your niche and what fuels you in design, how you're going to change the world with your design education. So it's definitely okay in these first few weeks to explore all your different options and take different courses and learn as much as you can about the design world before you don't have to know right now what you want to do with the program yet.
Yeah, really good point. I think it takes going through the studios, your 8-week studios, that exposure to each of the majors is really helpful in determining, where your interest really lies, and we give that room for you to explore in your first year by taking those shorter studios. So don't be nervous if you're still trying to figure that out. And in fact, your classes and student mentors and faculty are really going to help you out in making that decision. Molly?
Yeah, I'm echoing again, like get involved. It's a lot of fun and you meet some really cool people. But I guess like during class, don't be afraid, or I guess especially studio, don't be afraid to like think of new ideas and really go for it. Like sometimes people were almost scared to try new things or go outside of their comfort zone. And I think that's what we're here to do, is we're here to like push those boundaries and explore what it means to be a designer and how we can change the world and how we think about the projects we do, because we don't just have to think like, oh, I'm building a house. It's like, oh, I'm building a house to save animals, or somehow make it completely solar. Like, you don't exactly need to know how it works, but just think about how it can make a difference, which I think is really cool. And it's always, yeah, don't forget about that part, which I think some students do.
Great, thank you. Let's see, is Victor on still, or maybe his internet went out? Okay, I don't see him on here anymore, but let's go to faculty. Faculty, maybe you could just touch a little bit on how office hours are going to work this semester in this remote setting, so that students will still be able to get that same support outside of class.
All right, so for 1004 for office hours with me and your TAs, we are going to have 1 hour set aside specifically for 1004 for you guys throughout each week. So you can always feel free to jump in whenever you'd like to, just like a normal office hour that you would inside the building. But beyond that 1 hour, since I'm allotting 1 hour per class for specific help, anytime, absolutely anytime you guys need anything, just email me. Anytime I can make a separate meeting with you, work with your time schedule, especially because we all have different schedules. Class times have changed recently too for some people. So no matter what, always email me for an exact time and I will make it work with you.
Thanks, Danielle. And as we're going through this, we're popping in and out with the videos. I'm actually thinking it's okay if all panelists are on there. Since we have it on speaker view, you'll pop up in the front. So if you feel comfortable leaving your video on, I think that's a little better, because we're just kind of going in and out. So Jade or Melissa, do you want to add anything to the office hours?
Sure. So similar to what Danielle said, I'm holding office hours set by appointment. So because a lot of times if I set office hours, people will think, oh, I can't make that one. I have a lot of availability. So if you have a question, send me an email. We'll figure out a time to talk and we'll make it work. My section instructors who will be teaching Tech 1 will be holding set office hours. And so they will have those through Zoom. But same thing, you can also email them as well if your timing doesn't work. So just like Danielle said, really reach out and don't be afraid to come and talk to us.
Yeah, I have set office hours twice a week where you guys can drop in and I'll just be on a Zoom link waiting, but I also am available by appointment in case that doesn't work with your schedule. For 1010, we have 5 other instructors in addition to myself, and each instructor has their own method. It is all going to be outlined explicitly both on the syllabus and in Canvas. So you'll never really have to wonder or memorize this stuff. It'll always be in writing for you guys when you're ready to come in.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna move on to a question about the building. So the environmental design building, will it be open to us to work on our projects outside of the dorms, even if classes are online? So I wondered if Paul, if you wanted to speak to that.
Sure, happy to do that. So yes, the building is available to you. So your Buff One card gives you 24/7 access to our building. What we've done is in the basement and on the 3rd floor, there's what we call flex spaces. These are spaces for you to use whenever you want them. You have to stay, of course, social distance and wearing masks, but they are your spaces to use whenever you need to do them. It was probably the most requested thing that we had from students in the spring, was to be able to use the building. So we've set it up that you have access to it. You can go use a desk in the building. And again, the whole basement is set up for your use as what we call flex space. There's a map on our ENVD homepage. You can see the map of the building. And also, like I said, on the 3rd floor is flex spaces. So by all means, use the building. It is there for you whenever you would like to have access to it.
Great, thank you. So I am going to go ahead and open up the Q&A feature. So some of you have just started to submit some questions. Feel free to add additional questions there and we'll start asking them live. There's one specific question for Environmental Design 1010. That's the first studio. Your schedule may read that it has a remote meeting and an in-person meeting at the same time, and you're wondering which one is correct. Melissa, if you want to talk through that.
Sorry, my cat likes being in my lap when I'm on Zoom. We are meeting on Monday on Zoom. Follow the instructions in the email I sent out, and we'll always communicate what's going on. But the default mode will be on Zoom, and just pay attention to Canvas announcements and emails from your instructor regarding any changes in what your expectations are.
It's going to be really important to check your emails this semester because there might be quick shifts in how classes are being held. So just make sure that you're checking Canvas and your email often. Another question we have is for faculty. Do you recommend having, well, it could be for students too, excuse me. Do you recommend having different sketchbooks for each class that requires one? Or would you recommend housing all of your drawings in one sketchbook?
Aaliyah, can I speak to this one? Yeah, so I would say as a student, it's really great to have one sketchbook that you keep for all of your classes. That way you can look back and take all of your notes. Maybe you do have occasionally some instructors that'll want a specific sketchbook for a specific class, but I think it's nice to have one. I actually have sketchbooks from years and years lined up on my shelves in my office. For Tech 1, we're gonna actually be using, and I have this in our supply list, but it's some Bristol vellum that we'll be doing a lot of our sketching assignments on. So this wouldn't really be a sketchbook. This would be something you're actually handing things in on. So that would be separate to probably a normal sketchbook where you're writing notes and taking ideas and just doodling in it.
Perfect. Okay, the next question is, how will model making work with social distancing?
I could take this one since it's the first studio. So I can't speak for Betsy's studio, which is the second 8 weeks of the semester, but for 1010, the great news is, I'm not sure if it was Aaliyah or Paul who said this, but the ability to create your work for this class doesn't change with this new model because this is an entirely analog class. So all of the prototyping that we were going to do in person, you can do all of that remotely at home, or if you're willing to come into the building to work there, you could do it there too. But it should work exactly the same way as it would beforehand, right? Where you're using materials like chipboard, cardboard, an X-Acto knife, and you're building these prototypes or models from hand, and it shouldn't be any issue for you guys this semester.
Thank you. Another question is, will Adobe Creative Cloud be sufficient for the first year? Yes. The answer from Melissa is yes. Nodding your head. Yeah, you won't need any other software your first year.
I could also,
first semester.
so
Go ahead.
yeah, first semester, you won't need any other technology software. In second semester, you actually move to Tech 2, which requires Creative Cloud.
I do want to say though, when you get Creative Cloud, make sure you buy it through the bookstore. Don't just go onto the Adobe site and buy it. It's much more expensive. You buy it through the bookstore, and it's only $95 for the year. So make sure that you do it through the CU bookstore. Otherwise, it gets very expensive.
Yeah, good point. Okay.
Oh,
The
I
next-
had my hand raised.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No
I'm
worries.
so sorry, Melissa.
Yeah, so the extent to which we'll be using Adobe in 1010 will be to compile PDFs. So like I said, other than submitting homework and compiling homework, everything is designed to be done by hand with analog. So Adobe Creative Suites is A-okay.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, this is a question that goes back to how the bill. Oh, sorry.
Sorry. No.
Chime on in. I'm sorry. I've got a lot of screens open, so go ahead.
No, you good. I was just gonna say, like, when you get the Adobe Cloud, there are a ton of resources to like figure out how to use it. Don't be worried right now if you don't know, because I know a lot of students came in and didn't know it, and then you had some that did, and like, it's okay if you don't freak out. Just want to let you know.
Yes, thank you for that, Molly. Especially all of the information you're getting under these circumstances. Just know that faculty, staff, students, we're all here to help you, especially that first week. So just be calm and know that we'll work through anything that comes up. And if you're not sure who to turn to, you can come to any of us, but your assigned advisor is a good place to start. So if you're running into any issues, we can always help you get connected to the right people. So just keep that in mind. Okay, then this next question is going back to building use. The question is the third floor flex space still reserved for upperclassmen, leaving the basement for first years? So Paul, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about how the spaces are being used for different levels.
Yeah, it's a good question. We're being really flexible with flex space as we start the semesters till we see how everything is going to be used. So we're not policing who's using which space as a starting point. So you're free to use everyone's free to use whatever space they want to do as we're starting. If we see a lot of demand from everyone, we may have to start switching it up. But for right now, we're just seeing who wants to use a space, and don't worry about which space you're actually using.
Thank you. And in addition to the building, the use, Paul, if you could talk about if students are allowed to keep supplies in the building. So this question is specifically talking about leaving their toolboxes in the Envd building or projects.
Yes, you will be able to leave it there if you can give us a couple of days at the beginning to sort that out. We're still figuring out a little bit where everything's going to be and if there's any restrictions. And we will be finding that out beginning of this week. So just hang on there for a day or so and we'll get you the answer to that probably by Wednesday this week about if you want to leave things where you can leave it.
Thanks. Okay. So I did just want to mention too, when we're talking about the building and access, we are going to have the front office open 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. So we will have somebody there if you have questions or just need assistance while you're in the building. 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday through Friday. Okay, this next question is going back to supplies and software. So students are wondering if they need to get Adobe Creative Cloud before classes start on Monday. No, I see a lot of head shaking no. So you won't need to get it by Monday and you'll hear more at your class the first week of school. Okay, supplies, let's see. So one of the questions has to do with when are professors submitting specific supplies list? And I can address that. We just have one general supplies list for first year students, and that lives on our website, and it was also in our online orientation experience, but we can share that out and make sure that you have a copy of it, but it's just one supplies list, not per class, it's just for your first year. Okay, the next question. At some point, we were told, the students say, that they need to partition their Macs for some specific design software. Does that need to be done the first day or first year?
No, that is really for some very specific software that you will be using towards the end of second year. So you do not have to worry about that right now.
Okay. I don't see any new questions that are submitted, but feel free to continue to add to the Q&A. I'm gonna ask some additional questions that I have for our panel members. So for the students, just the general question about what resources are available for students. So when you're there's a lot, this campus and university is large, there's career services and counseling, and we have our own in-house services. If one of the students or all the students want to chime in, what are some of the most used resources that you have and ones that you want to really highlight? Sebastian.
A really great resource that's actually located in the advising center is the peer advising team. I'm a peer advisor for the Envd program. If your advisor is busy, if you just want to talk to someone that's also in your age level or more like a peer or more student-based advice on anything related to academics, the peer advising team is a really great way to do that. And we have a new advising system through the hub where you can just book appointments with our peer advisors super easy. So if you ever can't get and see your advisor, they're super busy, if you need to drop in for anything with academic help, we're here to help you. And it's a great resource on campus.
Yes, we love our peer advisors. Molly, did you want to add something?
Yeah, so along with the peer advising team, there's also the emerging leaders team, and we're especially here for first year experience. You'll work with the same mentor the entire year. We have like a mentee matching event coming up in a few weeks. We haven't set the date yet, but look for that. And you probably already met some of the mentors too. They were giving some of the orientation tours, which is pretty cool. With that, we are here to help you guys and help academically, and with I guess social activities. We can help connect you to clubs again. Another tool I like using also is Buff Connect. You can find clubs through there. So all the clubs that aren't through Envd that are online, you can go search on there for something you like to do. And I know there's Frisbee and theater and comedy, which is always a lot of fun. I think they're doing some cool online stuff. So I guess just keep looking because you'll find something really cool. There might not be an Envd. Envd is awesome, but there's always more. Just
Yeah, Thank you so much. The Emerging Leaders Program is really awesome, and you'll be getting messages and invitations to all kinds of really cool events this first semester. And one thing that's really neat about it is that based off the number of events that you participate in, and if you can keep your GPA at a certain level, you could be eligible for a scholarship at the end of your first year. So definitely connect with Emerging Leaders.
We're also on Instagram today. If you want to screenshot any of the stuff, you can take down our leaders' names and message them because they're here for you. So it's pretty cool.
Okay, we have about 10 more minutes, and you can continue to submit questions if you have any that are still lingering. At this time, I wanted to see if faculty could talk about what inspired you to be a designer. What brought you to this field? Sorry, is somebody raising their hand and I'm not seeing it, or are you all being shy? Okay, Jade, thank you.
That's a great question. It's really hard. I think, and I can probably speak for a number of us, but I think we are kind of idealists, and we see maybe problems in the world and feel like we have an opportunity to fix them. So making things function better, making things that are beautiful, making things that'll last for a long time. So I think that designers really just want to improve the world that we're living in.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Melissa?
Yeah, for me, it was definitely a lot of a positive feedback loop that happened through designing things. For undergrad, I actually went to art school and I started making functional products, which was kind of frowned upon, and just that felt really great. And everyone's like, oh, you should keep doing this. This is really your thing. And it was just this positive feedback loop. And from there, getting more into it, making things fit together that just makes sense and people enjoy using. Like, to me, making things and watching people I care about use them is like the greatest joy in the world. There's something about putting something out in the world and having people receive it that just really speaks to me and feels really fulfilling. So it's certainly a passion, and creating things is just a major passion of mine. So that's kind of what led me down this road.
Thank you. And Danielle, first, would you like to explain your background?
Oh, that's my answer. That's why it's up. So I am 1000% food driven. If I don't mention food, some type of food, at least once a class period, ask me to take my temperature because there's probably something wrong. But that's actually how I got into environmental design, was being so food driven, and so much about my life has been about food equity for people. And when I started looking into food systems, I went down 1,200 rabbit holes and ended up looking into the things that are responsible for our food system that are a little lesser known. So water and soil and pollinators. And through the pollinator angle, I was able to find a more novel adaptation of design to improve our ecological systems, our food systems, and our health, safety, and welfare systems across urban environments. So my big thing to you guys is that if you think that you have a passion that is seemingly outside of the environment or outside of design, I would challenge you to bring it into environmental design, because we are the problem solvers of our generations, and there is nothing that we can't do, and there's nothing that we can't integrate into our own disciplines. So, and as a side note, potatoes are mostly pollinated by flies, and I still save the bees, so I'm just gonna save all the pollinators at this point.
That's great. Thank you. Okay, I'm curious from students too. What made you choose environmental design? Sebastian.
Well, as I touched on earlier, it's an extremely unique program, and we are super lucky to be able to take studios across a few different design disciplines. Most of the schools I looked at were just very traditional design schools. You went in with like one major and you didn't really get a touch on these different fields, as well as knowing that there's some incredible faculty members at CU and the university itself. You can maybe go into a cooler school in a more beautiful location to study the environment. I think what's really unique about Envd is that you have your classroom setting, but the city and the region and the state acts as a living classroom too. As soon as you leave the building, you're also learning, and you're learning from everything around you 24/7. There's really nothing like Envd and guys are in the best place to be if you want to design it better tomorrow. So.
That's great, thank you. Molly?
Yeah, so I actually took a gap year before starting school, and I had no idea what I wanted to do at all. I actually even took a year at CU trying a bunch of different programs and courses, and I started in international affairs and then went to computer science, and was kind of like, I have no idea what I wanted to do. But then I like stumbled into Envd, and I was like, this is really cool. And all the kids in there were working together, which for me, that was a huge part of what I wanted to do. I like wanted to work with people and have creative conversations instead of just like turning in a paper or taking a test and hoping I like, did okay. So with that, I like got into Envd, and I really found something that I loved, which I think is why I'm still here, which is pretty cool.
That's good. Thank you so much. Okay, and if you are following the chat, there's some information there about the Emerging Leaders Program and how to get connected. And the very first event is going to be next Wednesday at 5:15, and you're going to get more information emailed to you. But just go ahead and check the chat for some direct links to the website. There's also some more information in the chat about computer recommendations and supplies. So be sure to browse through that information over there. All right, let's see, what other questions we have? This is a good question. I'm not sure who would like to answer this, but since campus is open, students are wondering, are there any other places other than just the Envd building and their dorms where they can do their online classes? So has there been kind of a spot that you would recommend just so that they can change their environment while they're, you know, logging into the remote classes?
I guess the only thing that I could kind of think of was there is internet access across campus, inside and outside. And so if you're, say, outside of the library and you're trying to figure out, okay, there's a bunch of tables here, can I do some work? There is an EDU Roam internet that you can access. So you'll have internet access whether you're inside or outside, TBD until the first snow date. So after that, I have more limited options, but outside is definitely accessible for students and for teachers too.
Yeah, that's great. Any other good spots for students to go and listen to their classes?
I know we walked there today during the scavenger hunt, Varsity Lakes. It was a lot cooler over there just because there's less stuff going on and less traffic, and there's some which is distant, and you do get Wi-Fi and access to everything you probably need. There are also a few coffee shops just off campus that you can look for. I would actually recommend going not towards the hill at all, but there's a lot that have actually open seating, and I drove by them today and they've opened up their parking lots. So you could probably, if you're just watching and you don't need to participate, but just be present, you could probably head to one of those and be comfortable if you don't want to be in the dorms or on campus.
Okay, we just have a couple more minutes. Molly, would you like to share the Emerging Leaders Instagram handle? It might be in the chat here, but there's a lot of information there.
We actually don't have an Instagram. We're just going to go with the Canvas page, and everything will be through the CU Envd Instagram.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, I think we got through all of the questions. If we missed any, again, we documented them, and we can always send a follow-up email to everyone. I just want to say I am so excited to welcome this new cohort into environmental design. Faculty, staff, students, we've been planning all summer to make this experience really exceptional for you all. And if you haven't heard this enough times today, we're all here for you. Feel free to get in touch with any of us if you have questions, or after the first week you're starting to need to switch your schedule around or make any adjustments. The advising staff can help you. We also have an academic coach on our staff too, who ran a remote session this morning. So if any of you guys joined that, Alex Harper is available. If you're just needing some extra support transitioning into college, this is a big step. She's also available and has appointments on the Buff Portal advising system, just like the advisors do. So you can get connected with that resource too. But this is the last session of the day. Thank you so much for tuning in. And we look forward to seeing you the first week of classes. Thanks everyone. Thank you panel members. I really appreciate it. Great answers. See you soon.